So first of all, thank you to Dawn and Michael Kreisberg, who sponsored the Lunch and Learn in honor of the upcoming wedding of Avraham Leventhal and Chana Malka, their daughter Chana Malka. That will be after Tisha B'Av. So thanks to them. And I thought that with these days of the 9 days, Tisha B'Av, so we're dealing a lot with the national tragedy, to also deal with personal suffering, difficulties, challenges, tragedies, and the different approaches, Torah approaches, as to how one is meant to understand and to a certain degree wrap our heads around those instances, those situations that inevitably we all deal with. You know, sometimes people talk about why do bad things happen to good people, and we'll touch upon that. You know, that certainly is an underlying theme, and a lot we're going to touch upon. But an interesting response is bad things, difficult things happen to everyone. And I always like to say, you know, if you think that a world where one believes in God is a world that is this Shangri-La, without there being any challenges, any difficulties, so the Torah kind of sets us straight, because the Torah is the God book. And right away, right, it doesn't take long until Adam and Chava are sent out of Gan Eden, and Cain kills Hevel, and we speak about the rehabilitation of Cain. But how about Hevel? What did Hevel do? And it's as if the Torah is letting you know right from the start that this is the human condition. But let's try to get, again, some understandings of this. Now, we have a lot of sources. We have 28 sources. And I don't think we're going to get through all of them today. And I'm certainly open towards, I don't want to run through them. And we can discuss each of them as we see fit. And we'll see how many sessions this might take. And I'm comfortable with it. An important introduction, or caveat, I should say, to begin with is, with the different explanations that we're going to hear, no one can look at anyone else or at themselves and say, oh, this person's going through this suffering and I attribute approach number 2 to this person. Right? No one ever knows who, what, why this is happening to this individual person.
I think more of a problem is when people decide why the person is suffering and
that's what I'm saying.
And articulate it.
Yeah, yeah. Right? Or not just decide something, you're saying, and to articulate it. Yeah. And that is for the heavenly realm. At the same time, it's important for us to have different mahalchim, different approaches to understand these different things. Now, if we're going to try to understand suffering, so built into that concept is a belief in God, because if it's just one big random universe, so right, them is the luck of the draw. Right? It's all random and there is no reason, there is no purpose. So there's a belief in a God who is involved in the fate of humankind and the individually involved with us, and it is a caring God. Otherwise, there's nothing to talk about. Right? Why is there suffering? That's how God gets his kicks. Right? So built into this conversation is a belief and acceptance of a caring, kind, involved God of this universe. And that certainly is the Jewish belief about who and what God is. Now, we also have to recognize, before we begin with the different sources, that there's no way that a human mind can fathom everything that God is going to do. And personally, I don't want to be able to fathom. Because if I could fathom everything that God is doing, it means God is limited either in wisdom or in freedom of action to that which I can understand. And I know that my understanding is so faulted and so limited and so myopic that I don't want to either believe in a God that's as bright as I am, or believe in a God who's is obviously a lot brighter than I, yet his choice of actions is limited to that which Ciner can understand. The same way that none of us as parents or as adults would agree to limit our choice of options in dealing with a different situation to what a 5-year-old can understand, or a 15-year-old can understand, or a 20-year-old would decide to do. Because we are all a bit over 20, and we have some life experiences that we feel have given us a greater perspective. So we wouldn't want to be limited in our range of choice of action to the understanding of those who have less understanding than we. So why would we want to impose that or expect to impose that upon God? And the same way that we as adults and or parents are going to make decisions for our children or for children that they don't understand, but nevertheless it's not going to stop us from doing it. We're going to do what's best for them. So too we have to understand that God is going to do what is best for us, even when we don't understand that. With that having been said, let us begin with source number 1 from the Ramchal of Moshe Chaim Luzzatto. And once again, thanks to the Morashah syllabus for collecting all of these different sources. The Ramchal in his Derech Hashem, Ramchal of Moshe Chaim Luzzatto, right? His most famous work, perhaps, is the Mesilat Yesharim, translated as Path of the Just, but you can't compare the translation to the actual Hebrew, right? We discussed that before, right? Mesilat Yesharim, the Path of the Just, goes through the teaching of Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair in the Gemara of the different stages of ascent in service of God. In Derech Hashem, what he does is, Derech Hashem means the way of God. And he explains the way that God interacts with this world and the different roles that different things play. Holidays, mitzvot, prayer, right? And also the development of man, free will, all of these things he deals with. And in the very, very beginning, he writes as follows. This is one of the very first chapters. Kol ish mi Yisroel tzarech sheyamin v'yeda. Every person from Israel needs to believe and to know sheyesh sham matsui rishon, that there exists a first being, kadmon v'nitzchi, began, preceding everything, and eternal, not bound by time. V'hu shehemtzi umamtzi kol ma shenimtza v'metziut. And he is the one who brought about, and mamtzi, most important, brings about. Kol ma shenimtza b'metziut, whatever exists in this world, v'hu ha'eloka baruch hu. And that being is God. So the very foundation of our beliefs is a God who is involved in all that goes on. And I've mentioned a number of times, Rav Moshe Feinstein in his Perush on the Chumash, he writes that is Shabbos and Yom Tov. Shabbos and Yom Tov represent these two fundamental beliefs of Judaism, of a Jew. Shabbos is that God created the world. Yom Tov, which is commemorating and re-experiencing different events, is God is involved in the world. He didn't create it and then go off to do bigger and better other things, but he is actively involved. That's what Ramchal writes, Himtzi u mamtzi. Himtzi is the past tense, mamtzi is the present tense. So God created and continues to sustain it, is how he translates it over here, and that is God. On that, Rav Volbe Zatzal writes in his Alei Shor, HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yodea Mikol Tnua Kala Shebekalot Shel Kol Nivra B'chol Rega Mamish. God knows every, right? The English says everything that happens, but Tnua Kala is every smallest movement. Kala Shebekalot, the smallest of the small. What seems to be the most inconsequential of the inconsequential. Shall kol nivra, of every creation, b'chol rega, mamish, every moment, literally. Im aleh nosher me'a'etz, a leaf is now falling off of the tree. You know, we've been working on the Eruv over here. Be'ezrat Hashem will be up this Shabbos, right? And I've been dealing with the city, which has been truly amazing. We really live in a malchut shel chesed, in a kingdom of kindness. The care and the dedication that they have to cater to the needs, the somewhat peculiar needs, I'm sure they're looking at it, of each community is really exemplary. So I'm dealing with some of the arborists because the trees needed trimming. Do you know how many trees they take care of in Irvine? Over 600,000 trees.
Wow.
And each one has a number. Now, I don't know if they know when a leaf falls off from each of them, right? But they've got they know what each tree is, where it is,
What it is.
it's what it is, and what it needs.
What it needs,
Yeah, pretty amazing. Well, God's even more amazing than the city of Irvine, believe it or not. HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yodea im Allah nosher me'a'etz. So there's 600,000 trees that the city of Irvine takes care of. Think about California. Think about the United States. Think about the world. And Hashem is aware of every single aspect that goes on. As Rabbi puts it, every leaf that falls off from every tree. And that is because God fills this entire universe. The same way that the body, the soul fills the entire body. There is no place that is absent, that is void of this God's presence. So it's not like, oh, he's up there and trying to keep track of every leaf. Malay kol olam kavodo. The whole world is filled with his glory. HaKadosh Baruch Hu manhig et olamo. God guides the world. Manhig. In modern Hebrew, what is a nahag? Nahag, atzor. Right? That's a driver. Nahag atzor. Driver, wait. We're about to miss the bus. Hashem is manhig et olamo. He guides the world, drives this world. Huid barach rotzeh b'kiyum ha'olam. And he wants this continuity, the fulfillment, the kiyum of this world. V'choshev machshavot. And he plans. L'vilti yidach mimenu yidach. That no one and nothing should be pushed away. V'anaga hi b'derech sachar v'onesh. Kedeve haRamban v'abechira b'dei adam. And this is done through his sechar and onesh. Literally, reward and punishment, as Ramban has explained. V'abechira b'dei adam. But the free will, that is in a person's hands. So God uses his, what we call sechar v'onesh, as a means of guiding. L'bal l'bilti yidach mimenu nidach. Right? Interesting. Right? The English didn't really translate this. Right? The English just said the continuity of the world and of every individual. But actually, the vilti yidach mimenu nidach is that no one should get pushed away. So we see right here a little bit of a hint. Sometimes difficulties is what brings us back into focus. It allows us to redirect. But we'll see a lot more. We'll see a lot more. Right? So he mentioned this bechira, this free will. Right? Rambam, right? Source number 3 in Hilchot Teshuvah. Reshut l'kol adam netuna. Ability is given to every person. Imratza la'atod atzmo l'derech tova, liot tzadik hareshut biyado. If one wants to guide oneself, tilt oneself in a good path to become a tzaddik, a righteous person, we have that ability. If imratza la'atod atzmo l'derech ra'a liot rasha, we want to push ourselves, guide ourselves, lean ourselves towards a path of evil and to become an evil person, hareshut biyado, the choice is in our hand. V'hu shekatuv b'Torah, hein adam haya ke'echad mimenu ladat tov v'ra. That's what Hashem says in the Torah. Mankind has become like one of us to know tov and ra, to evenly choose tov and ra. Klomar, hein min zeh shel adam haya yachid ba'olam ve'ein min sheni domeh lo. B'zeh inyan. Humankind is the unique creation that no other creation is like in this respect. Sheyehehu me'atzmo bidato uv'machshebato. That we on our own, with our understanding and our thoughts, yodea hatov v'hara. We know what is good and what is bad. Va'osa kol ma shehu chafetz. And we get to choose to do whatever we want. Ve'ein mi sheyakev v'yado. There is no one who's preventing him. We have these moral decisions that we're constantly faced with. Animals are not faced with these moral decisions. They act on instinct. They act on their nature. We are constantly faced with moral decisions, and nothing is holding us back from doing either that tov or that ra. As the Gemara says beautifully in Brachot, Hakol bidei shamayim, source number 4, chutz mi yirat shamayim. Everything is in the hands of heavens. How smart a person is, or how foolish a person is. How wealthy a person is, or how financially challenged a person is. How physically strong a person is, or how weak a person is. How healthy a person is, or the illnesses that are besetting this person. Everything is bidei shamayim. The cards are dealt to us. We do not control the cards that are dealt, the hands that are dealt. But we choose how to play our hands. The only thing that we have is the yirat shamayim. What type of person will I be? Will I be a good person, a kind person, a righteous person, a God-connected person? Or will I be the opposite? That's all that we can choose. We can't choose what comes our way. We choose how will we deal with it. And what will we do with that which we are granted? That's all that's given into our hands.
You said that Hashem is a benevolent God, so that He wouldn't give us things that are irrelevant. So if we have something that makes us suffer, there's some purpose to it which we don't know. Is that correct?
I would agree
This
with
is
that.
just, sometimes you can't figure out some of these things, and maybe you shouldn't figure them out.
Yeah, and as I said before, a 5-year-old is not going to understand why the parent is making them take this foul-tasting liquid 4 times a day for 10 days. But without antibiotics, that ear infection used to kill people. People would die from that uncontrolled infection, which would then spread to other parts of the body. And I always say the chasm between our understanding and God's is so much greater than that between a 5-year-old and ourselves. The same way that we can understand that we're not going to be bound in our actions in doing what's best for that 5-year-old by that which can be explained and understood by the 5-year-old, so too we can't expect God to be bound in his actions by that which we can understand. Yes. But he's doing it, what he's doing for our ultimate good, whether it's in this world or the next world, as we're going to see.
And we can't know that either.
We can't know that. We can't know exactly how that's going to. We can know that that is the truth. How it plays out, that sometimes, I've said to my wife, okay, let's fasten our seatbelts and see where this ride is going. Right? It's out of our control at this point. Right? We've done what we can do, and let's see where Hashem's going to bring us, and we go from there. That's what we need to do sometimes. Fasten our seatbelts and see where this is going. Yeah. Rashi, on that Gemara, says, on this Hakol Bidei Shamayim, this is source number 5. Hakol Bidei Shamayim chutz mi yirat Shamayim. Hakol haba al adam. Everything that comes to a person, biyad HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's all coming from God. Going aroch, katzar, tall, short, ani, ashir, poor, rich, chacham, shota, wise, simple, lavan, shachor, light, dark. Hakol bidei shamayim. It's all coming in the hands of heaven. Aval tzaddik v'rasha, but righteous or otherwise, eino ba'al yidei shamayim. That does not come down from heaven. Etzo masar bi'ado shel adam. That was given over to the hand of mankind. V'natan lefanav shtei drachim. And 2 paths are laid out before us. V'hu yivchar lo yirat shamayim. And he gets to choose when it comes to yirat shamayim. There's a beautiful explanation. The Megillat Esther, right? So, of course, it's the story of Purim, but according to the Vilna Gaon, it's also telling another level story of man's sojourn here in this world. And the way the Vilna Gaon explains it, it's a party. Achashverosh, the Yetzer Hara, throws a party here in this world. Vashitiya kedat, and there's a lot of drinks that are offered. But no one is forced. The Pasuk says, La'asot kirtzon ish v'ish, to do the will of man and man. The Gemara says, who's man and man? Oh, one man is Mordechai. Ish Yudi Hayab B'Shushan Abir Shmo Mordechai, etc. Who else is an Ish? Ish Tsar V'Oyev Haman Arazeh. The 2 people referred to in the Megillah as Ish are Mordechai and Haman. So at the party, on the simple level at the party, the maitre d's were Mordechai and Haman. On the deeper level, in this world, a person gets to choose to be a Mordechai or to be, thank you so much, Dov, or to be a Haman. Right? No one is forced. Hakol b'dei shamayim chutz mi yirat shamayim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'akol nהיה b'vado.
Amen. Rabbi, this is something that people use, whether they do it purposely or just to be argumentative or confrontational or something. Well, if God knows everything, and then we have no control, and everything is out of our hands, and we should just do what we want.
Okay, so there is a paradox that Rambam brings up, and that paradox is Bechira and Yediyah. Bechira is our free will. Yediyah is God's knowledge. So if God knows, do I really have free will? That's a paradox that the Rambam brings up and doesn't resolve. Ravid challenges the Rambam and says, if you're not going to resolve it, why are you bringing it up? Right? And an explanation that's given for Rambam is to let us know that he had the question and he's still the Rambam. Meaning, don't think that, if the Rambam would have had this question, then, he would have chosen a different path. And the way that I try to wrap my head around that is if I had a time machine and I had traveled to this class and then I went back to where I was a week before and I took some notes, and the notes said that Mary, you'd be wearing a purple blouse. Linda, you'd have on striped. And Linda, green, right? Right? White shirt, brown shirt, blue shirt, white shirt, blue shirt. Right? And I wrote it all down. And now I take it out and say, guess what? This was dated last week. And look what I wrote. Right? I knew it all. That does not take away from the free will that each of you had to choose whatever garment you chose to wear when you came to class or woke up this morning and got dressed. But I am beyond, the way Rav Dessler explains it, there's a cloak of time. This is the cloak of time. And there's a little hole here, that's the present. So this is the future, that's the past, and this I can see. As we move this cloak of time, that which was the present becomes the past. And that which was the future, now I could see it. Oh, that's what now. And I keep moving it, now I could see. But if one is not bound by the cloak of time, then one can see the entire expanse. I believe that's how Rav Dessler explains it. Right? But clearly, a foundational principle of the Torah is mankind's free will. Without that, how can there possibly be thou shalt or thou shalt not? Right? And how can Adam and Chava be held responsible for eating that which they were told not to eat? And how can anyone be held responsible? How can we be told? It's all determinism. So the very foundation of the Torah is this accountability because of free will. Yes?
One of the ideas that I came across in my reading over my lifetime, came across it once, is the idea that we have multiple choices. It's like a fan. We can pick any road that we want to take. And Hashem knows the results of each choice that we make, but He doesn't determine which choice we're going to make.
I like that.
It's like we make a choice.
Yeah.
This is where He takes us.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, this underlying principle that we began with, or one of the points we began with, is that asking for a understanding and suffering means accepting that there is a God, a kind God, who is involved. And that's what the pasuk, the Torah says in Devarim Lamed Beis, pasuk Dalid, Hatzur Tamim Pa'alo, Kichol Drachav Mishpat, El Emunah Ve'ein Avel Tzadik V'Yashar Hu. Hatzur, the rock, Tamim Pa'alo, his works are perfect. Kichol Drachav Mishpat, all of his ways are just. Kel emunah, a God of faithfulness, of trustworthiness. Ve'ein avel, without there being any deviations, without iniquity. Tzaddik v'yashar hu, righteous and straight, fair is he. And therefore, a person, the Gemara again, Brachos tells us, la'olam yehei adam ragil lomar, a person should accustom himself to saying, Kol da'avid rachmana litav avid. Whatever God does is for the good. Interesting. What term do we give to God over here? Rachmana. What is the root of Rachmana? Rachamim, Rachaman, Rachem.
Mercy.
The merciful one. That is how we view God. But we often don't get to see it. And we have the classic story of Rabbi Akiva. But Rabbi Akiva is someone, we'll see the story in a moment, who has always had the ability to see the positive, not just looking back and saying, oh, now I see why it's good. But as he's going through it, saying, God is doing this for the best. Famously, the Gemara at the end of Makos, when he and other sages were walking after the Romans had destroyed the temple, the Beis HaMikdash, and they saw a fox running through the Holy of Holies, and the other sages started to cry, and he started to laugh, and they said, they said to him, why are you laughing? And he said to them, why are you crying? They said, why are we crying? The place about which it was said that a non-Kohen who enters there is punishable by death. And now it's desolate and foxes are running through, and we're not going to cry. And so why are you laughing? He said, that's why I'm laughing. Because this is the fulfillment of one prophecy. And this will now usher in the next prophecy of the even greater rebuilding. He was able to see the building in the destruction. Well, at an earlier point, the Gemara tells us, Rabbi Akiva was traveling on the road. Mata Mata, he came to a certain place, a certain city. Bo Ishpiza, he looked for a lodging place. Lo Yavile, no one would offer him, no one would give him a place to stay. Amar, he said, Kol Davar Rachmana Litav, whatever the compassionate one does is for the good. Azal, he went, Ubat Bidavra, and he slept out in the field. Favi Biade Tarnagola V'chamra V'shraga, and what he had was a tarnagol, a rooster, a donkey, and a lantern. Atazika, a wind blew. Kavye lishraga, and put out his lantern. Atashunra, a cat came. Achle tarnagola, and ate the rooster. Ata Aryeh, a lion came. Achle lechamra, and devoured the donkey. Amar, he said, Kol davar rachmana letav. Whatever God does is for the good. Beiba leilayla, that very night, Ata Gaisei, troops came, Shavya lamata, and took captive all the inhabitants of that city. And he understood, had he been in that city, he would have been taken. Had he had the light, or the rooster, or the donkey, that would have given away that there was someone sleeping out there in the field. He would have taken. He would have been taken. Isn't this what I've said to you? That whatever God does is for the good. Now, often we're blessed and we can see it afterwards. The trick, the avoda, is while it's happening, to understand. I like to call it, you remember the Allstate commercial? Right? You're in good hands. Right? To try to feel that we're in good hands. Let's see where it's going to go. A dear friend of mine, when I was going through a tough time, started to laugh. And like Rabbi Akiva, I said to him, why are you laughing? And he said, because I know it's going to lead to something good for you. Right? I said, okay. Right? Just very recently, someone very, very dear to me was going through a difficult financial situation, and everything seemed to be going sour. And one thing that was going pretty well was a property had been bought and they were fixing up that property and they'd be able to flip that property, and he was putting a lot of effort into that, and then a tree fell onto that house.
Oh my goodness.
And it was questionable if insurance was going to cover it. And at that point, he was on the verge of tears. On the verge of tears. Because this was the great white hope with everything else that was going on. And then a tree falls on it. You know, it's kind of like, kick me when I'm down, huh? Well, what actually happened, we realized afterwards, as a result of that incident with the tree and insurance, he called a friend of his who's in the insurance business. And he got some guidance from that friend. But this friend in the insurance business was looking to start a business with someone with exactly the skill set that this person had. And as a result, he's now starting a new business with a successful individual that should turn things around. So it was the tree. We think, kick me when I'm down. That tree was, well, please God, we'll see it follow through. But that tree is what allowed this person to set a whole new course, and with God's help, it'll be a course of a lot of bracha.
Rabbi, this Gemara sounds a little bit like Chad Kadya.
Well, but it wasn't one that ate the other. It was three separate consumptions. Yeah. Ramchal again in his Derech Hashem, source number 9. Yadanu be'emet. We know in truth, she'ein cheftzo shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu ela lehitiv. God's only desire is to give out goodness. Our understanding, as Ramchal writes earlier on, is that the whole purpose of creation was in order to bestow good. And the ultimate place of that good is in the next world, and the purpose of this world is to earn it, own it, and thereby fully appreciate and enjoy it. V'nehu ohevet bruav, he loves his creations. Ka'av ohevet beno, like a father, like a parent loves a child. Elish mitam ava atzma ra'oi she'aser avet beno. But as a result, right? He says the love itself can justify, but actually Hebrew is more than that, right? As a result, as a direct result of this love, the father needs to discipline the child. The parent needs to discipline the child. The parent can't give the child anything and everything the child wants, because that would be harming the child. And the parent will have to discipline and withhold certain things, lehetivo ba'acharito, in order for this ultimate good to come to this child. Ukein shenemar, as the verse says in Devarim again, ki kasher yaser yishet beno, Hashem lakecha miyasreka. As a parent disciplines a child, Hashem, your God, disciplines you. V'nimtza sha'mishpat v'adin atzmo mimakor ha'ava hu noveya. Realize that judgment, din, emanates from a source of ahava. It comes from a place of love. But we are very limited in our ability to understand. Like we said before, I wouldn't even want to be able to understand everything God is doing, because that is limiting it in a very pathetic manner. Something that I say very often, that I don't feel bad when I have questions. I don't feel bad when I have questions, because no one less than Moshe, Rabbeinu, had questions. Now Moshe certainly had no questions in his belief of God. Yet he had questions. Vayomer, Pasuk tells us in Shemot, Moshe said, Hareini na et kvodecha, show me your honor. Show me your ways. Vayomer lo tuchal rot panai. You're not able to see my face. Ki lo yirani adam v'chai. No one can see me and live. Vayomer Hashem, but God said, Hinei makom iti. For there is a place before me, v'nitzavta al hatzor, and I will stand you, I'll have you stand by that certain rock, v'yav avor kvodi, and it will be that when my kavod, honor, will pass, v'samtich m'nikrat hatzor, I will place you in a cleft in that stone, v'zakoti kapai alecha ad avri, and I will place with my hands, so to speak, until I pass, v'asiroti et kapai, and I will then remove my hand. V'ra'it et acharai, you'll see from the back, upanai, but from the front, lo yiru. Right? And the Gemara says that Moshe was asking, why is it that tzaddik, v'ralo, rasha, v'tovlo, the righteous, and they suffer, and the evil, and they prosper. And God's answer is, you will not see my front, you will see my back. Of course, this is all anthropomorphism. God doesn't have a hand, he doesn't have a face, he doesn't have a back, right? But, right, the face is, I see it when it's coming. The back is, I could see afterwards and understand it, right? The face is right as the tree is falling, when the tree fell, right? The back is the position that results from that.
Yeah,
but again, no less than Moshe was troubled by this.
Yeah,
We're in good company, my friends.
You have a king of a guy's rowing a boat. It's like that. As you row, if he's going in the future, he doesn't see it till we see the past.
Okay. That's an interesting way of looking at it, though. Rav Yanai in Pirkei Avos writes, Ein biadenu. It's not in our hands. Right? What's in our hands is within our capacity. Lo mishalvat ha-risha'im, not the tranquility, the serenity, the peace of the Risha'im, va'af lo mi-yisurei tzadikim, nor the suffering of the righteous. In other words, Rabbi Yonah explains, Ein biadenu. It's there. It's there. There's an explanation that makes perfect sense. But Ein biadenu. Right? Literally, we would say in English in a similar way, we don't have a grasp of it. It's not in our hands. We can't grasp it. Ein biadenu. Rav Yaakov Naiman is Darchei Musar, his beautiful, beautiful essays on the different parshiot, the different parshas of the Torah. La'amin sha'kadosh baruch hu, source number 12. La'amin sha'kadosh baruch hu, bara shamayim va'aretz, to believe that God created heavens and earth. Lo tzarich lazeh chachma yetera. One doesn't need great wisdom. Ki asecha pashut mechayev la'amin bazeh. Right? One's basic intellect directs one to have such a belief. Aval madriga hachi gdola be'emunah, but the high level in faith is la'amin v'kadosh baruch hu k'sharon dvarim shezeh neged haseichel. When we see things happening in the world that go against our understanding, v'yesh la'atshot kushot chamurot, and we can ask difficult questions ala nagad Hashem on the way God is doing it. V'chol zot, and nevertheless u'mevatel kol ha'kushiot. We push aside all of those questions, all of those challenges. U'ma'amin be'emun amun b'shut, and we believe with simple faith. Ba'Hashem Elokei Yisroel, and Hashem, the God of Israel, Mevin, ki yafshel l'nivra she'yaven et baro, that it's impossible for a creation to understand its creator. Zoi madriga chi gdola be'emunah. This is the madriga, the level that is greatest when it comes to faith. I love the way Rabbi Sachs explains that when Moshe asked Hashem, what is my name? What is your name? What should I tell them? And Hashem answered, Ehyeh asher ehyeh. Right? I will be that which I will be. So he explains it to mean, you think you'll be able to predict me. You think you'll be able to say, oh, God is going to do this, or God is going to do that. But you're not going to. Ehyeh asher ehyeh. I will be that which I will be. You will not be able to understand it. That Rav Naiman says, that is the great test of faith. Tversky writes very beautifully that when we cover our eyes, we're saying, Shema Yisroel Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. He explains, of course, a simple understanding is you cover our eyes in order to push out any distractions, to be able to focus. Because sometimes we need to shut out the world, to shut out that which we see before our eyes, because that seems to contradict the belief of Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. But that is us at our root. Yes, Linda.
And yesterday we were interviewing Holocaust survivors, and one of the men that was there was asked, how did you survive? And he said the Shema every morning at Auschwitz. That's all he did.
No.
And it was powerful.
Yeah. There's an incredible book, Man's Search for Meaning, by Viktor Frankl.
Oh,
Right? Viktor Frankl was a Jewish psychologist from Vienna, I believe, who was in the concentration camps. And he there developed his theory of man's search for meaning. That a person, if there's meaning, if there's hope in life, then they can survive.